Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great of a burden to bear. So says Dr. King. We're going to be talking about a topic that Black America doesn't want to face. But I, being Black in America, must face this. There's something that's going on that I want to talk about. I want to know why every color loves our color but our color. I want to know what's going on in this world that it seems as though interracial relationships are taking people to levels that maybe they didn't know that they could go to. Maybe they never thought of. But this is what's happening in the world today. We're going to do an in-depth study on interracial marriages, relationships, how they last, how long they last. Let me tell you one thing. One of the greatest Black-on-Black relationships that I could think of to this day is Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. That was the greatest Black relationship that I could ever think of. They were married for 57 years. Ruby Dee died when she was 91 years of age. Ossie Davis, who I met, was a hero of mine, and I had the fortunate pleasure to meet him at a rodeo in Houston, Texas. And I talked to my hero, Ossie Davis, and I told him, you are my hero. I'm gonna have to tell my mom that I met you. His words to me was, how come everybody says that? I said, Ossie, Mr. Davis. I don't know why anybody else is saying it, but I'm saying it because it's true. You know, I was raised by a single mother, so I want my mother to see that I have met Ossie Davis. And it was something I'll never forget. This picture I will keep forever. Two of the greatest Black-on-Black relationships that I've ever seen in my life. And now we want to talk about what's happening in America. What about interracial relationships? 41% of interracial relationships end in divorce after 10 years. For regular, same ethnic, same color relationships, they end 31% after the same amount of time, 10 years. So why are the different colors seeming to stay together, not necessarily longer, because 41% of mixed marriages end in divorce. Same ethnic background, same color marriages end in 31% rate. So even though the mixed marriages are ending more at 41%, the regular marriages, same nationality, same people you're married to, the same color you are, they're ending in 31%. So what's the difference? But I'm telling you, I've seen some great people, some great leaders, and they seem to be, one, some of our great leaders are leaving the planet, but their significant other turns out to be a different nationality from them. You know, Harry Belafonte, he wasn't married to somebody that, you know, was his same color, a Black person. Let's talk about Bill Russell. He wasn't married to somebody of his color, you know? So it's happening all over the world. And these are some of the older generations that are leaving us. What made them think that it would be better with a different color than the one that looks like them? What made them think it would be better with a different color than the one that looks like them? There's something going on in Black America, and we're going to talk about it. I want to know why is it that every color loves your color but your color, and we're always imitated but never duplicated. They want to dance like you, talk like you, walk like you, be cool like you. They just don't want to be shot like you for being Black. We're going to talk about what's happening in Black America. You're listening to the podcast called Later is Greater. It all gets greater later. We're also going to have an interview coming up with a friend of mine named Robert, who just went through liver transplant. He just went through a liver transplant. 2 months later, more energy. He's alive. He feels good. He looks good. I want you to hear his story. I want him to talk to us. I want him to tell us what God did for him. He knew that he was almost in the river of no return. But for the grace of God, He now is well after 2 months with a liver transplant. We want to talk to Robert and see exactly what his story is. You're listening to the podcast called Later is Greater. When did you had liver transplant, right?
Right.
How long ago?
About almost 3 months ago now.
3 months ago. So were you in the hospital for the whole time?
I was in the hospital for 7 days.
7 days. And then you had to go stay somewhere?
Yeah, I had to go stay with a friend of mine.
Okay, for about, what, a month? Or?
For 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Right.
It's a good friend of yours. Let you
Yeah,
stay there like
yeah. He and I grew up together. We've been knowing each other since the 5th grade and stuff like that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, you had to go back and forth and get a lot of checkups. I know a lot of blood things, and you had to be just right to get it, right?
Right.
So
What you have to go through first, they take you through all kinds of tests. You have to go through stress tests, heart tests. They check your lungs. They check your teeth. They check everything to make sure that you can survive the surgery.
Okay.
Because that's the main thing, is they want people to be able to survive the surgery.
And so you were on a waiting list, though, right?
Well, what happened was, it was really kind of weird. They take you through this pre-process to get on the liver transplant. You have to meet with like 4 or 5 different doctors. You know, one of them is like a psychiatrist, and then the other one is like a social worker type doctor, and then you got your different liver transplant and specialist doctors that you have to meet with also. And so through that process, they are a committee, and that committee decides whether you are worthy of a liver transplant. So you have to pass that committee's questioning and going back and forth. It's not just go and sign up and get on a liver.
They actually question you and stuff?
Yeah, they question you, what your mental capacity, why do you want this liver transplant? You know, do you think if you get this liver transplant, you can stop drinking, things like that? Because, you know, I can't
Can't drink anymore?
I can never ever drink again.
Oh, because of the new liver?
Because of the new liver and the medication I'm on.
Oh, so medication.
Yeah.
You take that medication for life?
Right. You get medication for life, and supposedly the medication keeps you from rejecting the liver.
Right.
That's what it does. So what the medication does, it takes your immune system and takes it down, so that you will accept the liver over a period of time. Now, right now, I'm taking, I started off about 20 pills in the morning and about 15 at night. Now I'm down to about 11 or 12 pills in the morning and 7 at night.
Okay.
You know,
so it's backing up?
Yeah, backing up. They said
it might stop?
Eventually it might stop.
Okay.
Well, it'll never stop. Eventually it'll get down to a minimal level.
Okay, you have to take so many pills.
Yeah, I won't have to take so many. And the thing about it is, you were talking about getting on the transplant list. That was the most grueling part of it, is going back and forth to the doctor's offices and stuff and getting critiqued, and they want to make sure that you're in a stable environment, that you're not, once they give you a liver transplant and they discharge it, that you're going to have somebody around you that can get you back to the hospital as soon as possible. And they said ibuprofen is not good for the liver, especially with a new liver transplant. But I was telling the doctor that performed the surgery about it, and he said, well, that's not necessarily true. He said, you can take it in moderation. So I have to find out from them what the alcohol situation, what it is, because some of them, you know, I got a nutritionist doctor, I got the liver doctor, then I got the social worker doctor, and then I got the psychiatric doctor. And basically the one that really, the key person to me after going through all this is the psychiatric doctor. You know, the rest of them, they just going on the test that they run.
Right.
You know, the psychiatric doctor and the social worker doctor, those are the two that are going to get you on the liver transplant list, because you got to get on the list. And the list is a nationwide list. It's not just Houston. It's nationwide list.
Okay.
And you got to get on that list.
Gotcha.
And so they went through all the things and all of the questions and stuff, and the only one that really was on my side at the time was a psychiatric lady, because she said, you're intelligent, you got good sound mind for 70 years old. She said, there's no reason why she said, I'm voting to give you a liver. And she said, I carry a lot of weight. And so that's why I said that person to me was the most important during my interviews. And So once she got me through that process, then it was just a matter of taking tests every blood test sometime twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah, twice a week,
Yeah.
once a week, and then what they check is for I forgot what they call it. It's a level, but if your level is between 25 and 30, then you got to have a transplant.
Oh, okay.
And what I got so sick because mine was 25. I'm trying to think of the name of what they call it. I can't think of the medical name for it, but it's once they determine that level, then they start interviewing you for the transplant, to be on the transplant list. So once they did those tests, and I know they do it, the reason why it takes so long is because they do blood work every week to see if that number goes up or down. And if it stays steady, then you more than likely your liver's not going to recover. So that's how they make the determination. So then what happened was mine was between 25 and 30 and was going back and forth, because when I went in, it started out at 30, but it went back down to 25. So that was another delay. They was like, we'll see. But then after they ran some tests, they said, well, it's not going to get any better. So you need to really consider having a liver transplant. And so what happened was when I went in, I had to make arrangements to stay with someone. My daughter was going to have home care come in and take care of me the whole time. But they said that's not good. It's got to be a relative, a friend, or somebody. They don't want you having the home care people, the 24-hour people coming in doing it. She said, they're not. It's somebody that knows you. You know, like you know me and you see me every day. You'll say, hey, man, something's wrong. We need to go back to the doctor, because those people don't know you. So once we got past that roadblock, and I was able to, my best friend from elementary school, he was the one, he was taking me back and forth. And he told him, well, he can stay with me because, his wife had just passed. And so he was out in his home by himself. So, so he took me in for those 2.5 months.
That's amazing.
So you're going to need somebody to take care of you. Most people say now, according to the doctors, they say I'm a miracle. They say most people don't recover as fast as I have.
Come on now.
They said that most people is 4 months, and I was out 2.5 months. And right after my surgery, I was up walking. He said most people aren't able to get out of the bed.
Unbelievable.
He said I was up walking around the hospital with my walker and everything, and everybody was just amazed. And so I said, well, that had to be God. That had to be God.
Yes.
But anyway.
Go ahead. Please.
But anyway, getting back to the transplant list was so what the miracle is about the transplant list is that, okay, they finally agreed to put me on this nationwide transplant list on Friday. And so we leave, I leave the hospital, and I was telling my buddy that I was staying with, I said, man, just feel like I need to stay here. So we leave that Monday. That Wednesday night at midnight, they call and say they have a liver for me. So you got to be ready 24 hours a day. Yeah, and have to have transportation to get there. So I had to go to ICU and just tell them go to the front desk, say ICU emergency room, liver transplant. They just redline you straight on through. I mean, they sent a wheelchair out for you, and man, they took me in and they start stripping me, bathing me down, prepping me for surgery, because that liver only lasts so long. They got to put it in somebody. So they went through that process, and once they got me in there, I was talking to the doctors and everything, and I had a real nice doctor, because he was joking. I mean, the whole medical staff was joking and talking, and the anesthesiologist met with me first, and he told me what I was going to go through. He said, next time you wake up, you're going to be in recovery, and that's exactly what happened.
Good God Almighty.
And I mean, I was out like a light. I don't remember nothing except for when I woke up in the ICU recovery room. That was it.
Before the surgery, did you feel like you were going down the river of no return?
Whoa, let me tell you, before the surgery, I thought I was a goner. I told my buddy, my best friend, the one who kept me at his house, He said, man, I was really worried. He said, but I wasn't going to let you quit. So you got to have a support person too.
Very true.
And that's the key thing that they emphasize
Right.
is have you a good support person. Because if you have that support person, then they'll help you make it over those,
Help encourage you.
help encourage you and keep you going. And so,
now you can say later is greater.
right, later is greater.
There it is. It all gets greater later. You gotta believe though.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
kept the faith.
Yeah, you got to believe and can't quit.
There you go.
You got to do your part now.
Never give
Pray, but get on out of that bed after surgery. Do what the therapist says. Do what the doctor says, and you'll make it. You'll make it.
Awesome.